Hey, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gadi Schwartz coming to you from Los Angeles. And here's some of the stories we're watching tonight, starting with another day of intense and dangerous heat.
We're pushing our ecosystems and our climate into a different place than it's been for the entirety of human civilization.
So should we be worried about this global trend? Some scientists are. Bill Nye, the science guy, is going to give us his thoughts coming up. Then it looks like that baggie of cocaine found at the White House was in a different location than previously reported.
Where this was discovered is a heavily traveled area.
And UPS moves closer to what could be the largest labor strike in U.S. history. Also, Meta's new app for real-time conversation has Twitter threatening to sue.
This launch has to be called a success. Nothing less than that.
Hey, good evening. And tonight we start with words you're going to be hearing a lot more of in the foreseeable future. They are hottest on record. We heard them on Tuesday, then again yesterday as the global average temperature climbed higher than we've seen before. And to me, this graph says it all. See that spike right there? That is where we are right now compared to the squiggles of previous years underneath. Much of that is because of El Nino, which naturally warms the ocean every few years, but it's also the effects of man-made climate change that makes extreme weather even more extreme. And there's a good chance we could keep setting heat records throughout this month. And if you're starting to ask, wait, is this the tipping point that everyone's been warning about? We're going to ask that to the one and only Bill Nye in just a few minutes. But first, we'll start with the millions of people under heat alerts here in the United States. Today, some places in Arizona hit highs of 112 degrees. El Paso hit 106. And in the Northeast, it is hot. And in some places, it is hard to breathe. And NBC's Emily Akeda joins us now from New York City. Emily, I hear you guys are being hit with heat and bad air quality. Is this a Canadian wildfire thing, or is this something else?
Gadi, well, between the heat and the air quality alerts, it's a bit of a one-two punch, especially for those with underlying health conditions like asthma. But you raise a good point, a good question. This is actually from something called ground-level ozone. In other words, when the pollutants, emissions like from your car or refineries, they are chemically reacting to the sunlight on really hot days like this, and that causes poor air quality. But still, forecasters are still warning that we could very likely see the continued impacts of the Canadian wildfires because their season will run for another several months. And we've already seen unprecedented impacts here in the U.S. because of it. New York City, which you're seeing across the river there, Chicago, Cincinnati. There's a growing list of cities in the U.S. that have recorded their worst air quality on record this summer so far this year, in part because of the wildfire smoke. And again, we could see more of it stream in the coming months, Scotty.
And Emily, in the Southwest, we've seen these triple-digit temperatures, and they've had some deadly impacts at some national parks, right? What are you learning there?
Yeah, some tragic cases we've been seeing over the past couple of days. One man tragically was found dead on Monday in Death Valley National Park. To give you some context, some perspective, at one point this week, that park reached a temperature of 126 degrees. So just really staggering numbers. And it was a maintenance worker, according to the National Park Service, that found the man who was in his car. It was parked on the side of the road. It wasn't crashed. He had flat tires. The window was rolled down. The air conditioning of the car was not working, leading them to preliminarily blame this on the heat, on those staggering temperatures. And the day before that, on Sunday, we learned of a woman who had been hiking an 8-mile hike in Grand Canyon National Park. She also perished. So it really speaks to just the weight and the impact of these scorching temperatures, the seriousness of some of the situation we've been seeing. And now those serious temperatures have been moving up here to the northeast. We are seeing a number of cities from Syracuse, New York to Caribou, Maine approach record temperatures for this time of year, Gadi, so we continue to see the impacts of the heat.
Stark reminders to keep the heat and take it very seriously. Thanks so much, Emily. And insane temperatures and abnormal weather are happening all over the world. Right now in Zaragoza, Spain, the streets look more like rapids from tons of rainfall. Cars and bikes were left empty in the streets as people tried to escape. In Mexico, over 100 people have died from extreme heat since the beginning of this year. And last month, 69 people died in just 1 week. Meanwhile, Canada is still battling over 500 wildfires, which have burned 8 million acres. And the ice around the Antarctic has reached an all-time low during its growth season. Compared to this time last year, the icy continent is 500,000 square miles smaller. That is like twice the size of Texas. And joining us now is the man who made school fun when they used to wheel the TV into science class. But nowadays, he is warning about the end of the world in his incredible show, The End Is Nigh, one of our favorite science minds of all time. Bill, you've seen the headlines today. You've been warning about some of this for quite some time. And so I've got to ask, is this the tipping point that everyone's been warning about, or is this just El Nino being a little warmer?
Oh, no, it's more than just El Nino. So everybody, it's generally believed right now that there will not be this catastrophic moment where everything changes, like in the movie where the Atlantic freezes over or the Gulf Stream stops completely. Instead, everything's going to get just worse and worse and worse. The Gulf Stream's going to slow down. The conveyor belt around the world is going to slow down. And these events where it's really warm and the ozone's held near the ground by an inversion layer and all that, this is going to get worse. And people have been talking about this for years. And look, I understand. I lived my whole life getting around with fossil fuels. Yes, but we can't do it anymore. We have to stop. And electric cars are part of the solution, to be sure, but they're not a panacea, because we have these changing weather patterns that we're all dealing with. I mean, that's what your story's about right here. So the sooner we get to work, the better, people.
Now,
let's go.
When we see what we're seeing with the temperatures and the words that we're going to hear over and over again, which is a record high today, another record broken. Are there prediction models that we can plug in and say, okay, we know that the temperature is here, this is what's going to happen next, and this is going to ripple into this? Or does it just become very unmanageable very quickly?
Oh, no, it's scientists, computer operators have been able to tie extreme heat directly to climate change. Extreme cold's trickier, but changing weather patterns are not trickier. Everything's getting warmer and warmer. You don't believe me? Just look at your coldest, wherever you live, just look at the coldest temperature of each winter the last, pick a number, 50 years, 100 years. You'll see it steadily going up and up and up. And everybody's been talking about this for decades. And yes, we have documents from Exxon, before it was ExxonMobil, 1977, 78, these scientists predicted with extraordinary accuracy that this was going to happen. And it's happening because we've added all this carbon dioxide in the air. Now, there was concern about methane bursts, the methane gun. That is probably not going to be, it's probably exaggerated. It probably won't happen suddenly, but it's happening. And so the sooner we get to work, the better, everybody. And don't come running to me. Both of my parents were, I talk about this all the time. Both of my parents were in World War II. My father was a prisoner of war for 4 years. My mother was, she wouldn't tell you what she did. She was a code breaker in the Navy. Everybody at that time was focused on this one thing. We're going to resolve this global crisis. So everybody, let's get to work.
It's funny because you have the great series out, The End Is Nigh, and you take us through so many apocalyptic scenarios, but I love it. It gives me hope because the end of every single episode, there is like this glimmer of like ingenuity that can get us out.
Yes, with science.
With the question now and the temperatures that we're seeing, what do we do immediately?
What do we do immediately? We discourage fossil fuel burning. We vote. That's the big thing we do. We get people in office who are going to do something about this. And the tensions we have now politically are in nobody's best interest. And pretending that climate change is not happening is not good for anybody. And, you know, this is easy to say. Look, we're in California right now, which might surprise people to learn is an enormous oil-producing state. Mm-hmm. But we can't produce oil anymore. We got to stop. Not saying we don't need to lubricate our bearings or whatever the heck. No, we just can't be burning oil like this. And everybody knows about it. We've been talking about it for decades. The sooner we get to work, the better. The sooner we motivate electric vehicles, the sooner we motivate people to have geothermal heating and cooling, which takes city blocks working together and so on. And then the sooner everybody, I'm not joking, the sooner we invest in big ideas. Big ideas. Now, look, I'm all for recycling plastic. Yes, recycling paper, not bad. But we need big ideas, people. And you can say, well, nuclear power, that's what's wrong. Well, getting a nuclear power plant certified takes 15 years. Produces all this carbon dioxide through concrete. Well, okay, it's a mixed blessing. So what we want to do is everything all at once. Wind power, solar power, and I'm not joking, people, invest in fusion. I'm not kidding. In December of last year, for the first time, humans got more energy out than they put in. It's amazing.
Fusion and everything else.
That's it, all at once.
Bill Nye, thanks so much for
This is the United States, people. Let's go.
We can do it. Always giving us hope. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And it's now been 5 days since cocaine was found inside the White House, and we are starting to see the story change. Sources tell NBC News the dime-sized baggie was found at the West Executive entrance, not the West Wing lobby, as we were told before, which is a big difference because the West Executive entrance is a much more secure area. To put it in perspective, it's on the same floor as the Situation Room, and sources are now saying the investigation is expected to wrap up by Monday, which would be way sooner than previously reported. And on top of all that, apparently officials are now saying it's unlikely that they'll be able to figure out who brought the cocaine in. Mike Mimley joins us from the White House right now. Mike, okay, so now that we know that it was found at the West Executive entrance or nearby, the obvious question here, like, isn't the White House supposed to be one of the most secure places on Earth with logs of who's coming in and who's going out, cameras, access to state-of-the-art forensics for investigations? Like, how can they say they might not figure out whose cocaine this was?
Well, one of the big outstanding questions, Gadi, that really helps shed light on your question is the fact that investigators so far haven't been able to pin down when this very small plastic baggie might have found its way into that cubby. And because there are certainly security cameras in this area, they'll have security logs of all the visitors, guests, even staff who were coming and going in that area. If it was just the day it was discovered, certainly you can narrow it down. But if it was weeks before, then that's much more difficult. And the other issue here is, yes, there are security cameras, but they may not have been zoomed in to a sufficient level to see a small plastic bag like this being put in there. Now, it is significant that it was this West Executive Drive entrance rather than the main lobby on the north lawn of the White House because of what you mentioned, the White House Situation Room. One source I've spoken to said that would explain why somebody might have had to empty their pockets, put everything into this small cubby, because the White House Situation Room, of course, obviously a secure space versus somebody coming into the West Wing lobby might just be going to office spaces that don't require a security clearance. But the fact that they have changed this location, I think, is only adding to the significant intrigue about how this came there in the first place. Remember, White House officials had been strongly suggesting this was likely somebody who came as part of a tour, a private tour led by a staffer, somebody from the outside, in other words, not necessarily a White House staffer. This sheds a lot more potential doubt on that explanation.
So you're saying that this was found inside of a cubby, and right now the main problem is they don't know when it was put in that cubby, which obviously raises a lot of different concerns about security and how long something can be in there. But like you said, lots of logs, lots of timelines that are going to be scrutinized with a long list of who was at the White House at the time, who went through that area. But I got to ask, where was the president and his family on Sunday? Because we do know where they were, right?
Yeah, that's right. The president, the first lady, as well as their son Hunter and members of his family had left the White House the Friday before, headed to Camp David for the weekend. They returned to the White House on that Tuesday, ahead of the 4th of July holiday, which they, of course, celebrated with the fireworks on the South Lawn. So knowing that they were not in the White House at that time also suggests that there would have been far fewer individuals potentially trafficking in that area. We have been told repeatedly that this was a highly trafficked area, a lot of staff coming and going, not like the West Wing television show where there always seem to be tons of people coming and going at all times. But certainly there are a steady flow of people there on a typical working day. But because this was a weekend and a holiday weekend on top of that, that would maybe reduce the significant number of people that would be going through there. But if it was something that had been sitting there for weeks instead of days, that really doesn't necessarily cast that explanation into further light. We know obviously the president travels quite a bit. When he's in the White House, there are more people there. But that's one reason why investigators are really now tempering the expectations about whether they'll be able to determine this, even with all the forensic data that they've been collecting from this plastic baggie as well, DNA, potential fingerprints. Because it is so small, they still don't know if they'll get a clear ID.
Weeks instead of days. Can you imagine? Mike Mimley, thanks so much. And coming up, the mass shooting in Philadelphia is turning into a legal battle over ghost guns. Then how a UPS worker strike could disrupt the entire country's supply chain. And later in this hour, we're going to take you to Saturn, how its moon might have all the ingredients for life. Stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. 2 firefighters have died fighting a massive fire on a cargo ship last night in Newark, New Jersey. Now, this fire broke out inside of the ship, totally engulfing a bunch of cars, then spreading to the higher decks. Dozens of emergency responders from both New Jersey and New York worked to put that fire out. And former President Trump's valet was in court today. Walt Nauta was arraigned at the same federal courthouse in Miami as Trump last month. He pleaded not guilty for this alleged role in Trump's classified documents case. And the company behind the Titan submersible is suspending future missions. It announced today that all exploration and commercial operations are on hold. And this comes just weeks after an implosion killed 5 people headed to see the Titanic wreckage. A Major League Baseball cameraman is recovering after a bad throw broke his eye socket. It happened last night at Yankee Stadium. A rookie shortstop overthrew the ball, trying to finish a double play. That cameraman you see there waving and giving a peace sign to the crowd as he was carted off the field. And today we learned that a 25-year-old man who went missing 8 years ago was home the entire time. Houston police say that Rudy Farias, who was reported missing when he was 17, was living with his mother. Police say they spoke to him several times over the years, but he and his mother gave fake names. No charges have been filed at this time. And the city of Philadelphia is taking on ghost guns after this week's mass shooting that killed 5 people. Police say the suspect had 2 weapons on him, an AR-15 style rifle and a handgun, both of which turned out to be ghost guns. So now the city is suing the 2 ghost gun distributors in Philly for breaking federal and state laws. And the lawsuit says the city is, quote, holding these distributors accountable for supplying ghost guns into our streets and for the havoc they have wreaked in the Philadelphia communities. Ghost guns, which have become more and more common in Philly lately, are basically unregistered, untraceable weapons, and they're sold in pieces and can be put together literally at home using a kit and some basic tools. And because they are sold in pieces, ghost gun buyers don't need a background check. NBC's Tom Winter has more.
Gadi, the lawsuit today involves one of the largest manufacturer of ghost guns, which are not technically illegal, but that's not stopping Pennsylvania authorities from bringing this lawsuit today, saying they undermine federal and state laws when the company Polymer 80 and another supplier, JSD Supply, sell these type of guns. Now, these guns are manufactured in parts. They're shipped to somebody's residence, and from there, somebody has to assemble the gun and turn it into something that can actually fire a bullet. Under federal law, it is possible to ship gun parts to somebody and for them to make it on their own and not to violate federal law. However, some of these companies have been pushed in Philadelphia, where they say over 87% of the ghost guns that they've recovered are made by Polymer 80. They say it violates state laws by not having any sort of a background check, by not having any sort of mechanism for making sure that these guns are not sold to people there in violation of Pennsylvania state law. For instance, somebody who's been convicted of a felony. Normally, if they were to go to purchase a weapon at any sort of a store that sells guns, they would be flagged for that purchase and would be committing, in fact, a violation of state law because a person person who's committed a crime should not be able to get a gun under Pennsylvania state law. Well, here, this would appear to circumvent that process, and that's where Pennsylvania, and specifically Philadelphia today, says they have a problem with it. That's why they're filing this lawsuit. And all of this has come up because Kim Brady Carricker, the person who's charged with killing 5 in that shooting over the weekend, used a ghost gun and had a ghost gun, according to authorities. It's been on their radar for some time, and that's why they say they're taking action today. Gadi?
Thanks so much, Tom Winter. And we've been hearing a lot about strikes recently, from Hollywood to hotel workers, journalists, some Starbucks workers. But we're on the brink of what could be the largest single employer strike in American history, with the possibility of affecting countless supply chains all across the country, all centering around UPS drivers and warehouse workers that could be on the picket line soon. And take a look at this. They are already getting in the reps. Their contract officially expires on July 31st. So what you're watching is just a practice run. But if both sides fail to come to an agreement, it could throw the supply chain into chaos once again and have a massive impact on the economy. And joining us now is NBC's Noah Pransky. Noah, what exactly are the UPS workers asking for here, and what's the holdup?
So, like many labor disputes, wages are one of the big issues. But UPS already says they weren't paying better than the market rate. They're already leading the way for courier services. And UPS workers say we want more. Of course, UPS profits have tripled since pre-pandemic. Workers want a bigger piece of that. They also want more full-time jobs, fewer part-time jobs. But here's an interesting one. They want surveillance cameras out of the trucks. Now, UPS workers did score a big victory a few weeks ago when UPS agreed to put air conditioning in all of their trucks. But they do have cameras, which are sensors that the company says is for not surveillance, but for safety and efficiency purposes. Workers say you're surveilling us. We want it out.
Wait, so they didn't have air conditioning in a lot of cases, but they did have like state-of-the-art cameras? That's
They get
wild.
to wear shorts, though, so, you know, it like balances, right?
I guess so. If the UPS workers do go on strike here, what happens to the rest of us?
So there's a lot kind of on the line here. UPS is the biggest courier service in the world, $100 billion of annual revenue. That's the 37th biggest company in all of America. 24 million packages delivered every day, 400,000 employees, most of them unionized, the biggest single union workforce in America. So there would be a lot of impacts, not just on the deliveries from UPS, where we're not just talking online shopping, but also food and medicines. We also could see a trickle down on FedEx, USPS, everyone else who would have to take a bigger load on. So we're all watching that July 31st date. UPS research found the second most trusted company in all of America. You can be sure the company doesn't want to squander that equity.
Absolutely not. NBC's Noah Plansky, thanks so much, brother. And coming up, this drug could be a game changer in the fight against Alzheimer's, but how soon could patients start to see treatment? But first, you gotta see this. Body cam footage released today shows Glendale getting a call about a couple goats on the lam. The goats managed to dodge all the coppers for a while before they were successfully wrangled and brought back home. And it turns out this was not the first rodeo for one cop. He says he's recently apprehended a mule, and he's quickly getting a reputation for being the greatest of all time. We'll be right back.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it, boys.
Hey there, welcome back. Let's get you caught up in 30 seconds. It is hot, record-breaking, and it appears to not be ending anytime soon. Heat alerts are in effect from New York to Florida to Arizona and New Mexico. Meanwhile, sources tell NBC News that the cocaine found in the White House was actually discovered near the West Wing's executive entrance. That's a different spot than what was previously reported, which was the West Wing lobby, but no word on whose cocaine it was. And UPS workers are getting closer and closer to a strike as union negotiations break down. Meanwhile, the FDA has just given the full approval of the first of its kind drug that offers real hope for the millions of Americans facing Alzheimer's disease. Kate Snow has more.
It's the first time a drug meant to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease has ever been granted full regulatory approval. In a clinical trial involving about 1,800 patients in the early stages of Alzheimer's, the drug Leqembi slowed cognitive decline by 27% over an 18-month period compared to people who took a placebo.
I really cannot overstate how important today is. This is really a game changer for our field.
The drug targets a type of protein in the brain thought to be one of the leading causes of Alzheimer's. John Domek was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at 56. He joined a trial at the Cleveland Clinic, receiving infusions every other week. In the beginning, he and his wife Anne weren't told if it was Leqembi or a placebo, but for the past year, he's been on Leqembi.
I've been on it for a while, and I think it's helped me.
His cognitive function has declined slightly, they say, but not by much.
We get that it's not a cure, but there was nothing when we got our diagnosis, nothing. Now there's something that we can do. It gives you hope.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, unbelievably. I mean, we had none.
Since John is still in a trial, they're not paying for Leqembi, but the list price is $26,500 a year. Medicare plans to provide coverage as long as a doctor agrees to submit patient data. There are side effects. Trials found a greater risk of brain swelling and brain bleeds for patients on Leqembi, leaving some doctors with concerns.
The risk and benefits are quite disproportionate in favor of risk, and therefore this is not a therapy that patients should really consider taking.
For the Domeks, though,
it was go with a drug that might work or nothing. What would you do?
They're traveling to London in August.
Alzheimer's threw us for a loop. This drug has thrown us a lifeline.
Kate Snow, NBC News, New York.
Up next, an NBC News exclusive. We got an inside look at the back channel talks trying to end Russia's war in Ukraine. That's coming up next. Welcome back, and let's take a quick look around the world in 80 seconds. Just outside of London today, an 8-year-old was killed and several others hurt when an SUV crashed into a private elementary school. Now, this happened about a mile from where the Wimbledon tennis tournament is being held, and the driver was a woman in her 40s. She has since been arrested. Over in Ukraine, Russian missiles hit an apartment building and killing at least 6 people, and 30 others were hurt. Ukrainian officials are calling it the biggest attack in the western city since the war started. And tensions remained high in Israel today after rockets were fired from Lebanon. The Israeli military says none of the rockets made it across the border. Nonetheless, Israel says it struck back, hitting the area where the launch was carried out in Lebanese territory. And TikTok has now launched a music streaming service in Brazil and Indonesia called TikTok Music. It's subscription-based and costs less than $4 a month in those two countries, and it lets users sync it to their existing TikTok account to listen, download, and share songs. No word yet on when or if it'll be launched in the United States. And there are a number of former U.S. officials that have been having behind-the-scenes talks with Russians about potentially ending the war in Ukraine. NBC's Josh Letterman has more in this exclusive report.
It's no secret that relations between the U.S. and Russian governments are at a real low, and there has been a real shortage of conversations between the U.S. and Russia at a high level about actually ending the war in Ukraine. But now we are learning that behind the scenes, former U.S. officials who have deep experience from the State Department to the White House on dealing with Russia have been having their own conversations, not only with private Russian citizens who are heads of think tanks, research institutes, and academic institutions dealing with foreign policy, but also in one case with the Russian government directly, including a meeting that we have learned about that Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov of Russia held secretly in New York in April for several hours on the sidelines of the UN Security Council with several former administration officials focused on trying to put forward ideas about dealing with the thorniest issues in the war. Things like what to do about territory in Ukraine that Russia has long held, and that even if Ukraine's military is extremely successful, they may never be able to liberate. Now, the Ukrainians have expressed that they are not happy to learn that these conversations are taking place, because the Biden administration's mantra on this from the beginning has been nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. Today, Ukraine telling us similarly that the fate of their country will be decided not in back rooms between Moscow and Washington, but in Ukraine. The Biden administration, they say they are not directing these talks. They are not asking for these officials to carry them out on the Biden administration's behalf. But multiple sources telling us that the Biden administration does know that these conversations are taking place, with American former officials who were involved in that meeting with Russia's top diplomat in April briefing the White House National Security Council afterwards about what they discussed with Russia's foreign minister.
NBC's Josh Letterman, thanks so much. Meanwhile, that mercenary behind that short-lived Russian mutiny, turns out no one seems to be sure where he is. There are reports that he's in exile in neighboring Belarus, but that country's president says that is not the case. Here's NBC's Keir Simmons with new reporting on his whereabouts.
Tonight, Yevgeny Prigozhin again facing a perilous future. The mercenary who led a mutiny in Russia, so angering President Putin, was thought to be in exile in Belarus. But when NBC News was invited today to the presidential palace in the capital, Minsk, its autocratic leader distanced himself. His deal to bring Prigozhin to Belarus undone for now. And he may never come, President Lukashenko says.
He is located in St. Petersburg. Where is he this morning? He could have gone to Moscow, or maybe somewhere else.
People will be surprised and mystified that a man who you say could have caused a civil war in Russia is still in Russia.
I've said everything that I'm allowed to say.
On the streets of Minsk, some telling us they never wanted Prigozhin or his soldiers here.
Yeah, very bad.
Prigozhin himself, heard but not seen, promising in a recent audio message new victories on the front line. President Putin has been busy trying to reassert his power and man of the people image. His view of Prigozhin unclear tonight. But Russian state TV, which once lauded Prigozhin and his Wagner fighters as heroes, now calling him a traitor and a criminal. He had a charmed life, this Russian report says, showing images unverified by NBC News of a police raid on his St. Petersburg home with millions of dollars in bills, fake passports, and even wigs. Prigozhin discredited, but not in danger, Lukashenko insisted today.
If you think that Putin is so evil and vengeful that he'll whack him tomorrow somewhere, as we say in Russian, then no, this won't happen. This will not happen.
Keir Simmons reporting. Keir, thank you. Now, if you've ever lived in the West, you know the fight over access to steady water supplies is one where the stakes could not be higher. But in the Southwest, they're starting to experiment with a new model that involves selling water in order to save rivers. Brad Hicks from This American Lab has that story.
With record snow in the southern Rockies this year, the San Juan River looks strong on its journey to join the Colorado. Along that route, a celebration outside Farmington, New Mexico. New water in the river.
The river that's breathing life.
Most of the San Juan watershed is tribal land. Some belongs to the Jicarilla Apache. They call the river water
Ko. Like K-O-H with a Ko.
And they have rights to some of that Ko, but they have neither the soil nor the infrastructure to use it. So for decades, the Jicarilla have sold most of their water to a coal plant. But with coal power now being cut, that market has dried up.
A big chunk of guaranteed revenue that we needed to make up.
Instead of selling to another industry, the tribe wanted to keep the water where nature put it, in the river. The state of New Mexico and the Nature Conservancy liked the idea and are now leasing the tribe's water for 10 years, more than 6 billion gallons a year.
We were so intrigued by the opportunity to restore flows into this incredible river.
The agreement helps the environment. The extra water will create new habitat for 2 species of endangered fish. It helps the state, which is required to keep a certain amount of water flowing into Lake Powell. And it helps the tribe, not just financially, but spiritually, honoring the sacred Ko.
That gives us life. It gives everything life.
The deal is also about self-determination. More than 24 tribes have water rights in the Colorado River Basin, but they haven't had a seat at the table. For the first time on a big scale, they not only had a seat at the table, they were at the head of the table.
I hope this is something that we as the state and others across the West can learn from and replicate elsewhere.
In Farmington, New Mexico, Brad Hicks reporting.
And before we go, it is time for the future of everything. Tonight, we're talking about threads, from the signups to the cease and desist. Our Steve Patterson is going to have more on the newest social media platform. And speaking of which, Twitter hit a snag in Colorado this week. The National Weather Service in Boulder there uses that app to communicate severe weather. But on Tuesday, it had issues with Twitter's new rate limits and couldn't access tweets. Remember, Twitter is now limiting the number of tweets users can view per day. A big problem for the NWS when there are tips coming in about severe weather across the state. NWS Boulder says it's now encouraging people to report what's happening in their area to them directly. We'll be right back. And so if you spend a lot of time online, you're probably either stoked about this new Threads app, or you are arguing with your friends who are already on it on why you are not going to join unless, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg beats up Elon Musk in the cage. But wherever you fall, there is no denying threading feels very, very similar to tweeting. And now Twitter is threatening to sue Meta over Threads. In a letter to Zuckerberg, an attorney for Elon Musk says Twitter has serious concerns that Meta Platforms has engaged in systemic, willful, and unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and other intellectual property. But whether Twitter sues Meta or not, Threads is not slowing down. Politicians like AOC or Mike Pence are already on the app, along with celebrities like Oprah, Ellen, J-Lo, Shakira. The list goes on. It is #1 on Apple's social charts right now. And as of this morning, over 30 million people have signed up for the app. That's according to Mark Zuckerberg. And well, look who we have in the studio. None other than Steve Patterson. Steve,
Hi.
You were here on another story yesterday.
I was.
And I'm getting deja vu because you were sitting right there before that story went live. In fact, I think I have.
What are you doing,
picture.
Gadi?
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
What is
Check
this?
this out. This right
Oh my
here,
gosh.
that is the exact moment. Picture's worth 1,000 words. That's what a human looks like when they are looking at Threads for the first time, trying to decide if they're going to jump in. Tell us about that picture.
First of all, Gadi Schwartz, you sneak. There's nothing I have to remember when I'm on this set.
I took a picture with my iPad.
You sneak. I was wondering where that came from. Yeah, look, I was impressed. I will say, I think I'm the perfect, target market. You and I have had this conversation before. I don't love Twitter. I really love Instagram. And so if there's a way I can filter all my Instagram stuff onto a different Twitter, so to speak, I think I'm the perfect guy for this. So I was really impressed. I jumped right on. Part of it is obviously I want to be a part of the conversation. Everybody's talking about this. Everybody's on Thread. It's also one of those times where we're talking about how it's like you're at a new school where everybody is just they've had all these established audiences on Twitter and Facebook, and now they can just post hey, I'm on Thread, let's meme about Thread. It's all about memeing about Thread right now.
It's so funny you say school because for me it feels like school, but it also feels like going back to a high school reunion where you're like, oh, I know you guys, you're my Insta, and then you start talking for a little while, and then you're like, you know what, okay, all right. 4 hours here, had enough, goodbye. Is it working? Does it seem like it's creating a cultural moment? What's the vibe
It's a huge buzz. I mean, 30 million is a big number if that number is true. But I think it's reached a level of mind share and a critical mass to where it is a cultural moment. I really do think today may go down as an important day for social media, as crazy as that is to say. And with the amount of trouble that I think people see that Twitter's in, with the person who's in charge of it, with what he's been doing, with how people are unhappy with that, and then looking at the celebrities who have now moved over and say they're threading, and looking at the people who have audiences that are huge, and Mr. Beast is on Thread, all these people are coming over and putting their audiences there. If this turns into something that is more than just a moment, and it turns into something that is sustainable, that's the thing that will carry this forward. We just don't know at this point, but I think on the ground floor, it's looking pretty good.
Meanwhile, you've got this fight over whether or not they have copied Twitter. And this is, if you look at Facebook's playbook, they took a lot of Snap and the ephemeral nature of Snap, and they put that into Instagram stories. This is something that we've seen Facebook do before. Now we're seeing this let her go from Twitter to to Meta. What can we say about that letter? And is this going to result in actual lawsuits?
Yeah, as you're saying, it's part of the Meta playbook. You sort of take the components of your competitors and you put it in. And I think that's just social media in general, right? But this is alleging a little bit more. This is Elon Musk actually saying that you poached people from us to specifically build this platform using trade secrets that are now exposed. It's right now, it's kind of a bird says, @ says thing right now. We don't know what's true. Meta is saying that in no way is anybody that ever worked at Twitter working on this platform. In no way are we using any of those things they used for Twitter to build
it. Has way more squiggles in it.
Yes, exactly. Isn't it totally different? So I think it's, we're going to see. I really think this is about people at Twitter feeling threatened by all this mindshare that they're getting.
It's also interesting because you've got, like, you get on Threads and it feels pleasant, right? It's a pleasant place to be. You get on Twitter, it's a...
Not so much.
I mean, it's a different place. And so it's weird because I've been trying to figure out, okay, well, we're news people. Like, what do we do news? News is not exactly pleasant. Like, are we going to take that news and put it in the pleasant place? Or, like, do you put it in Twitter? Or what's the play here?
I think, I mean, and this is Musk's argument, is that even though this may be a less pleasant place, and he's tweeted this as much, this is a place where real stuff is happening and real conversations are happening. And I don't think anybody can argue with that, certainly, over the last nearly 2 decades. This has been the way it is. And now that he's in charge of it, we're starting to see more of that. I think you would argue that a lot of people don't want that, though. And there may be a way to do the reality of the situation without having an algorithm that feeds you into something toxic. I will say, though, on the other hand of this, that a lot of people are not happy with the algorithm that Meta has and that Threads has, because it is very much, you go on there and you start seeing things that aren't related to your interests whatsoever. I think that is something that is a growing pain that is going to change over time. But I think it's just pick your poison at this point. Do you want a brighter, better future, or do you want the information and the legacy that's been there since the beginning of social media?
I mean, the big test case that I'm looking forward to tonight, Taylor Swift dropping some stuff. What's the conversation going to be like on Twitter? What's the conversation going to be like on Thread? It's going to be wild.
I think it's cool that they are different at this point, that you can have 2 different styles of conversations based on these 2 platforms. Everybody's saying it's a carbon copy, but I think the content itself is different. And that's interesting.
See you on Threads.
See you on Threads.
Thanks, brother.
I'll thread you.
And a little over a year and a half ago, NASA launched the James Webb Space Telescope, the most complex telescope ever built, and it's already revolutionizing our understanding of the universe in so many ways.
And we have engine start. And liftoff. Decollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe.
Back to the birth of the universe. And so far, we have seen some pretty incredible images. And in our own backyard, from an infrared snapshot of the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter, to the icy gas giants of Uranus and Neptune, it's already delivering on that promise. And late last month, the Webb Space Telescope captured Saturn, the most famous ringed planet, and some of its moons there. And unlike previous images of Saturn, through this new view, we see a completely different picture. Notice from the Webb telescope on the left here, Saturn appears as a dark circle, but its predecessor, the Hubble telescope on the right, shows more familiar bright bands of those clouds swirling around Saturn. So what is the difference there? They're both beautiful images, but we're going to bring in Paul Sutter. He's an astrophysicist, NASA advisor, and author of How to Die in Space, a journey through dangerous astrophysical phenomenon, and he joins us now. Paul, when I see these pictures, I'm like, whoa. But when you see them through your astrophysicist eyeballs, what do you see?
It's the exact same reaction. It's wow, Saturn is gorgeous. Saturn is one of my favorite things to see through a backyard telescope. It's one of my favorite images to see from spacecraft, from probes, and from, in this case, the James Webb Space Telescope. And it really is striking. What the James Webb is teaching us here with this image is about the inner layers of Saturn's atmosphere. You see, there's a lot of methane in Saturn's atmosphere. And methane is a greenhouse gas. It absorbs infrared wavelengths. And the James Webb is an infrared telescope. It sees infrared light. And that's why the surface of Saturn looks so dark. But we're using that to peer deeper into the surface to get a sense of how the atmosphere of Saturn circulates.
And it's not just Saturn here. The Webb has also captured one of Saturn's moons that might be able to sustain life. What kind of life are we talking about here?
Yeah, this is wild. You would never realize that the outer solar system might be a home for life. But check this out. There's one particular moon of Saturn called Enceladus. And on the surface of Enceladus, there's a thick crust of ice. And underneath that ice is a liquid water ocean that spans the entire globe of Enceladus. There is probably more liquid water on Enceladus than there is on the Earth. And where there's liquid water, there's the potential for life. Now, we don't know for sure yet if there is life on Enceladus, but it had checked that box. And most recently, some astronomers dug into some old data from the Cassini spacecraft, which orbited Saturn for almost 20 years. And the Cassini spacecraft actually sampled some geyser plumes that came out of the icy crust of Enceladus. And they looked at that data, they reanalyzed that data, and they found phosphorus. Phosphorus is an element that is one of the key ingredients for life. And in fact, it is the least common of the key ingredients for life. And so right there, we have liquid water. We have the ingredients for life. The next set of missions to the outer moons of these gas giant planets are going to hunt for signs of life.
Signs of life in a place with more water than planet Earth. That is just absolutely incredible. The Webb Space Telescope, they've now captured all 4 gas planets in our solar system. We've got these images back. And then just today, we saw a new image of a galaxy formed 500 million years ago. These images keep coming every single day. I got to ask, what are you most excited to see Webb get pointed at next?
Yes, I love these images because they're great PR and they're also great science. But behind these amazing images are dozens, if not hundreds, of scientific papers where we are really digging into the guts of how the universe works. And one of the things that I'm most excited about with James Webb is that it is designed to peer back billions of light years away to observe the first stars in the first galaxies to ever appear in the universe. This is an epoch of our universe that we have no observations, 0 observations of so far, and James Webb was designed to do exactly that. So I am looking forward to research and observations along those lines.
Is there still a question mark when it comes to exactly how old the universe is? I know that when James Webb started looking way, way, way back there, all of a sudden the math wasn't math in there, right?
There is, when it comes to the age, we actually have it relatively precise. It is 13.77 billion years old, plus or minus 100 million years or so. But what the math that isn't quite mathing out for us is actually the development and evolution of the first galaxies. So what James Webb is doing is it's peering further and further back. We're getting some of the youngest galaxies to appear in the universe. And these galaxies are like fully grown. It's like visiting a kindergarten class, and then there's a bunch of grown-ups sitting in there. You're like, how can you be 6 or 7 years old and be this big? It's challenging our models of the formation of stars and galaxies, but that's exactly what the Webb was designed to do.
One of those great mysteries hopefully we'll get an answer to. Paul Sutter, thank you so much. And that does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.